Hello, I looked in my wallet and couldn't find my credit card. Do you know anything about it? Oh, you noticed already. I thought it might take you a bit longer, considering your age. Wait a minute. Are you saying you're the one who spent $50,000 without permission? That's outrageous. It's not as bad as it sounds. It was just for my wife's birthday. I borrowed the card to book a stay in an ultra-luxurious five-star hotel suite. It costs about $110,000 a night, and we stayed for 5 nights. It was an amazing experience. I'm even thinking of going to another country next. See you later. Hold on a second. I haven't spoken to my son in 30 years. I raised my 2 boys on my own after divorcing my husband. My younger son has always been there for me, but my older son is a different story. Recently, he came to the house, took my credit card from my wallet, and spent $50,000 at a luxury hotel. His actions are both criminal and heartless. I supported him through everything, but now, I can't even think of him as my son. 2 minutes later, I made a decision and called his wife. Hello, my son is there, isn't he? I've contacted the card company and had the credit card stopped. I'm also planning to report the theft and unauthorized use to the police. After ending the call, I blocked their numbers. I can only imagine their panic and confusion now that the card is stopped. They were planning to travel to another country, so they likely don't have return tickets. They're going to face some serious trouble. A week later, they had no choice but to apologize. I'm a 65-year-old woman living alone in New York. Since divorcing my husband 30 years ago, I've raised my 2 sons by myself. I'm retired now and enjoying my leisure time. Mom, I bought your favorite donuts, my younger son said when he visited. Thank you, you didn't have to go out of your way, I replied. My younger son often visits even after moving out. He works for a company with good benefits and can get home on time. He's single, so he stays over if the next day is a day off. It's not that he hasn't become independent, he just worries about me living alone. I can manage on my own, but I appreciate his thoughtfulness. On the other hand, when my eldest son and his wife visit our family home, things never go well. I don't really welcome their visits. Hey, can you lend me some money? We have our wedding anniversary coming up next week, and we're planning a trip abroad. We need some extra funds, my eldest son asked. Why don't you use your own savings if you need money? I suggested. I can't save anything with my salary, he complained. You live in a nice new apartment and just bought a new car. Isn't that the result of your own choices? I pointed out. Please, I'll pay you back. Don't be so harsh, he pleaded. Ever since my eldest son started living on his own after graduating from high school, he's often borrowed money from me. After he got married, the amounts he asked for only increased, and I can't recall a single time when he actually repaid any of it. I don't want to lend money to someone who doesn't keep their promises, even if they're family. Shouldn't people honor their commitments? I didn't raise him to disregard such basic values, but he's grown into someone who relies too heavily on his parents' wallet. Fortunately, I received a substantial amount from my retirement fund and have been investing wisely, so I'm not struggling financially. However, I want to avoid unnecessary spending as I consider my future. Yet, as a mother, I find it hard to say no when my son is truly in need. I think I should be stricter, but every time he asks, I end up giving in. Then one day, my eldest son and his wife showed up unexpectedly. We need to talk, he said, his tone serious. I got into a car accident, and we need a substantial amount of money. We don't have much savings, but we've been told we'll be sued if we don't pay. A car accident. I was shocked. I've been working hard to repay a large debt to you, and I guess I was too tired, he explained. Hearing about the accident, I felt a mix of surprise and relief that they were both safe. Maybe my demands for repayment had stressed them out. While I wasn't directly to blame, I couldn't help but feel somewhat responsible. Up until now, they had asked for money for their own needs, but this situation was different. This was an emergency, and there seemed to be no other option. Okay, I'll prepare the money. How much do you need? I asked. $30,000, he replied. What? I was shocked at the enormous amount. $30,000? That seems like a ripoff, I thought, but I knew that damages and compensation could add up quickly. I didn't notice a single injury on my eldest son or his wife. It didn't seem like the accident was that serious. Perhaps the other party involved held a special position, but still, paying such a large sum didn't make sense. Why was it so expensive? The other person was driving a luxury car. and the repair costs are quite high, my son explained. But shouldn't insurance cover the repairs? I asked. We didn't have insurance, so we have to bear the full costs ourselves. We're in serious trouble if we can't pay this amount. Can you help us out? With that, my son and his wife bowed their heads to me, a gesture I'd never seen from them before. They must be truly desperate. I sighed. I guess I have no choice. We're family, after all, and I should help my family in trouble. Reluctantly, I agreed. Okay, I'll arrange the money, but make sure you pay me back. Yes, thank you. Of course we'll repay you, they promised. I prepared the money, considering it a loan. But after that, I heard nothing from my son or his wife. A week passed, and I started to wonder how the situation with the accident had been resolved. Then, when I went shopping for the first time in a while, I reached into my wallet to pay and realized 3 of my credit cards were missing. No way, I thought. I hadn't used this wallet recently, and I hadn't left it anywhere. There were no signs of a break-in at home, and the cash was still there. What was going on? As I panicked, I realized that I hadn't used my wallet or even left the house in the past week. When I hurriedly contacted the credit card company, I was shocked to learn that $50,000 had recently been spent. What's going on? I thought. The only visitors I'd had were my eldest son and his wife. Could they be involved? Feeling uneasy, I immediately called my eldest son. Hello, can you talk right now? I asked. Yeah, sure, Mom, but it's rare to get a call from you, he replied, sounding unusually cheerful. His tone made me wonder if he had been drinking, even though he should have been preoccupied with the accident. The thought that he might be drinking this early infuriated me. What was he thinking? Are you drinking by any chance? I asked, my irritation growing. No, it's not like that. What are you talking about? He responded, sounding defensive. Have you seen my credit cards? They're missing from my wallet, I pressed, hoping I was wrong. Oh, you noticed already? I thought it would take a bit longer for you to find out. I'm surprised you caught on so quickly, he said with a smug tone. What do you mean? I asked, dread washing over me as I began to realize what he was implying. Could it be that my eldest son and his wife had taken my credit cards without permission? It felt like theft, plain and simple. I didn't want to believe it, but after hearing what he said, I couldn't think of any other explanation. There had been no signs of a break-in, so they were the only suspects. But I never expected him to admit it so easily. I was too shocked to respond at first, but my son continued talking. We've just been using a bit of your money. Your credit card is really convenient. You know, we're on vacation for my wife's birthday, staying in a top-tier suite. The whole trip, including the hotel, is costing about $50,000. It's nice not having to worry about money. This couldn't be my son. Someone must be impersonating him over the phone. That's what I desperately wanted to believe. But deep down, I knew it was him, revealing a side of himself I had never seen in over 30 years. Betrayed by my own family, my heart broke, and I was at a loss for words. Why would he do this to me? Was he really my son? Oblivious to my feelings, he seemed to be enjoying himself. You think it's okay to use someone else's credit card without permission? Don't you know the difference between right and wrong? And you haven't even repaid the money from the accident. Why? No report, no repayment, and now you're stealing my cards. It's just unbelievable. The words burst out of me in a wave of emotion. I just wanted him to apologize. One simple word, and maybe I could find it in me to forgive him. But instead of the apology I longed for, I heard his wife's voice on the other end. Mom, you've saved up quite a bit of money, right? So it shouldn't be a problem if we use a little. Money is meant to be spent, not just saved. That's right, my son chimed in. I'm really lucky to have such a smart wife. We're going to enjoy ourselves, so don't contact us anymore. With that, he hung up the phone. A clever daughter-in-law? What does this all mean? Could it be that she's the mastermind behind all of this, manipulating my son? The thought shifted my perspective slightly. But regardless of who initiated it, this was a crime. Using a credit card without permission, even among family, is theft. What were they thinking? Anger surged within me, and it took time to regain my composure. But at least now I had a clear grasp of the situation. I had a plan in mind. After hanging up the phone, I waited about 2 minutes before calling again. This time, my eldest son's wife answered. Hello? Do you need something? I told you we're on vacation. You shouldn't be contacting us. This call is a courtesy, I replied calmly. Her dismissive tone didn't faze me. A courtesy. What are you talking about? She asked, sounding slightly annoyed. I've notified the credit card company about the unauthorized use and had the card stopped. Don't be surprised when it stops working. I informed her, letting my words sink in. You did what? How are we supposed to pay for things now? She demanded, her voice rising in panic. Lending and borrowing credit cards is not allowed, and this is clearly unauthorized use. Did you really think I would just overlook it? That's incredibly naive. What do you mean you stopped the card? We need it. We don't even have tickets for the return flight. Call the credit card company right now and get it reinstated, or we'll be in serious trouble, she insisted, her tone turning desperate. If they truly needed help, they could have asked for it humbly like they did during the last incident. But after seeing their true colors, it was clear that any expectation of decency was futile. I wasn't angry anymore, just astonished by their audacity. I ended the call and immediately blocked their number, along with any messages. I had no desire to speak to them again or even see their faces. No matter how much they begged, I couldn't bring myself to help them this time. Then I contacted my younger son. I warned him, they might cause you some trouble. A week later, my younger son called. Mom, it's about my older brother. I've decided to pay the money for now, so they'll be coming back soon. But I'm worried they might hold a grudge against you. Don't worry, I reassured him. I'll handle it if they come. I knew my eldest son and his wife were likely to blame me, completely ignoring their own actions, but I was ready for whatever came next. I felt guilty about involving my younger son, but I was determined to be even stricter when they returned. With this resolve, I waited for them to come home. The next day, as I had expected, they showed up. Mom, why did you do this? Do you realize how much trouble we were in, stranded abroad without a single acquaintance? Have you ever considered how desperate we felt? They began yelling at me the moment they walked through the door. How foolish, I thought. It became clear to me once again that only fools try to win arguments by raising their voices. If they had just explained their situation logically, maybe I could have understood. But they showed no intention of apologizing. You always just shout like barking dogs. But honestly, I never expected anything different from you, I said calmly. You have two choices. Either call the police yourself or repay the full amount right now. What? Police? What are you talking about? Don't joke with me. You're the one who stopped the credit card and left us in that mess. Shouldn't you be taking responsibility for that? I couldn't help but wonder what kind of upbringing leads to such a lack of understanding. In over 60 years of life, I never thought I'd encounter people like this, but I was serious. Do you realize that using someone else's card without their permission is considered fraud against the credit card company? Even if we're family, sharing cards is not allowed. Reporting this to the police will only cause trouble for you. Wouldn't you rather just repay the full amount? You should be thankful I haven't reported you yet. But we don't have the money right now, you know that, they protested. Oh, and about that story you told me about the traffic accident. I already know it was a lie. I want that money back too. Their reaction was priceless, eyes wide and mouths agape in shock. I couldn't help but laugh inwardly. If they thought I was clueless, they were sorely mistaken. Why are you bringing up the traffic accident now? They stammered, clearly taken aback. Because after what you did with the credit card, it's time you stopped underestimating me, I replied, unwavering. I immediately spoke with my second son. He mentioned how your lifestyle had recently improved and also confirmed that there hadn't been any accidents. Since he lives nearby, he quickly checked and confirmed that the car was perfectly fine. It turns out the whole story was a lie. While it might be difficult to sue my own son, your wife isn't my family, so I can pursue fraud charges against her. Upon hearing this, my eldest son's wife became visibly agitated, avoiding eye contact as if she finally realized the gravity of her actions. But it was too late. What shocked me the most was that there was still no apology from either of them. They just sat there in silence, not uttering a single word of regret. I was amazed at their complete lack of common sense. Anyway, I'm demanding full repayment of the money, I continued. If that's impossible, I won't hesitate to report you to the police. I'll also make arrangements to ensure my savings aren't inherited by you and use this as an opportunity to sever ties. Wait a minute, we're family. Isn't that a bit harsh? They protested. You're adults now, so such childish excuses won't fly, I replied coldly. If I report this to the police, you'll learn about the harshness of reality. Their feeble excuses only infuriated me more. All I wanted was estrangement and repayment of the money. After making this clear, I drove them out of my house. They tried contacting me several times afterward, even coming to the house to apologize, but I was no longer willing to listen. I contacted a lawyer and began the repayment process. Eventually, my eldest son and his wife seemed to come to their senses and promised to repay the money. We're truly sorry and promise to repay the money, but it's difficult to pay $55,000 in one go. Could we perhaps arrange installment payments? There's always the option of taking out a loan, I responded sharply. If you sell the car and get rid of your expensive branded items, you can quickly raise the money. Don't make me angrier. Of course, I had no intention of accepting installment payments, and how they borrowed money was none of my concern. They repeatedly requested installment plans through the lawyer, but I refused. Reluctantly, my son and his wife took out personal loans and for the remaining amount, resorted to loan sharks. They ended up losing almost all their possessions except the car, and his wife had to start working to cover the monthly interest payments. The couple, once living lavishly, was now being tormented by the very money they had once squandered. I don't know how long this situation will last, but it's the result of their own actions. It's too late for regrets. They must live with the consequences of their choices. As for me, I'm living happily, even if alone. Life isn't just about money, it's important to live without being misled by it.